take a quick look at 2003's Open Water. This movie was distributed by Lionsgate, and it is directed by Chris Kentis. So it's also just a very basic plot. This one is based on actual events, so I think most of you are familiar with this film. So of course, basically we have a couple who is going on vacation. They go scuba diving, and obviously the people who are heading the boat miscount. They accidentally get left behind, and the couple goes missing. So yeah, that's the basic premise here, but in all honesty, I found a lot more of the factoids more interesting than the film itself. So actually, just to begin here, the actual events itself took place in 1998. It was a married couple, Tom and Eileen Longerhan. So of course they did go on vacation. They did their scuba diving off of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. So of course, yes, they were accidentally left behind. It was actually the, I guess the management company, Outer Edge Dive Company, who was managing the tour guide or the scuba diving guides. So of course, it was 2 days later when they noticed the couple was missing, and there was just a bag that had been left on the boat, which had their passport information and other identifying information. So this is pretty much how they came to the knowledge that the couple was missing. And this actually sounds really bad if you think about it. You had 26 passengers and 5 crew members, and nobody noticed they were missing. Logically, they must have chatted or talked to somebody else who was on the scuba tour before actually going underwater, and no one whatsoever noticed that they were missing. The crew members themselves miscounted. Obviously, following this, there was a air and sea search which took place over the course of 3 days. They were never found, and it was just assumed that they either drowned or the sharks got them. So that pretty much follows in line with what happened in the film as well. Some of the background information here is actually kind of grim following the actual case. There were several theories regarding what had happened, I guess, in the background regarding the couple. There was one theory just kind of trying to assume that they faked their disappearance, or, you know, just kind of like an insurance fraud type deal, or that it was a murder-suicide pact, and that's just really messed up. I don't know, I mean, other than, you know, out of context diary entries that were leaked, I mean, that's just extremely rude to just assume something like that. But obviously, yes, it was determined that they either drowned or the sea life got them, which in itself is terrible, but just for, you know, at the time, investigators to assume such terrible things other than the obvious just seems very rude and disrespectful. So it was Jack Nyren, the skipper of the dive boat, who had been charged with unlawful killing. He was later found not guilty, but the company itself did plead guilty to negligence. So of course they were fined, they went out of business. This also led to the Queensland government insisting on more strict regulations regarding that captains or dive masters have to independently confirm the head count. So they have to be more hands-on about it, and they're being held accountable for it. So that in itself is a good thing. So as I've said, it's just a very basic plot. It follows along with the case as far as what people know what happened. But the actual film itself, two of the titles in question had been below or beneath, before, of course, their director decided on Open Water, which I think was a way better title. You know, it definitely piques the interest, at least. There is also a very loose Jaws reference within the film. The characters, the 2 main characters, we don't find out what their last names are until, of course, their bag is found. So the female, her name is Susan Watkins, and the male is Daniel Kinter. So how this ties back to Jaws is the Skinny Dipper at the beginning of the film. Her last name was also Watkins, and the second victim in Jaws, who was also male, his last name was Kinter. So it's just kind of just a very loose tie in there. What I also found very interesting is that they actually used the actual actors' names as well, that were incorporated as part of the character name. We have Susan Blanchard Ryans. She later became Susan Watkins. And of course, actor Daniel Travis became Daniel Kinter. So, I don't know, just kind of interesting. The sharks used in the film were actual sharks. There was no animatronic or CG or anything. They did use wranglers, and the actors themselves did wear like sort of a chainmail underneath their diving suits for protection. From what I came across, every now and again a wild shark would come along, but you know, the actors were fine. And of course, to draw the sharks in, the sharks were fed tuna, which of course kept the sharks occupied and the actors safe. The actress herself, Susan Ryan, from what I read as well, she has had a fear of sharks, so the her co-star, the poor guy, always had to go into the water first just to assure her that everything was okay, which I guess would have been good on her end if something bad did happen, because she would have known to stay out of the water. But yeah, not too nice. So, total time that the actors did spend in the water throughout filming was 120 hours, and they were tethered to the boat in order to keep them from drifting off while filming. Yeah, it's definitely a slow-paced film, and it's one of those you really have to be into it in order for it to hold your interest, because throughout the film you only have two characters. But yeah, it's I think it is a good film, just not one I would watch too often. But that is pretty much all I have for you guys today. I will talk to you later.